This is WZ Tales. Today's story follows this line. My girlfriend and her family laughed at my poetry writing at a family dinner. They don't know I just signed a $180K book deal under a pen name. While you listen, imagine how you would feel if the people closest to you respected your art only when they did not know it was yours. My girlfriend said, "You need to be realistic." I replied, "I'm already getting paid to write." Then I signed the contract in secret, kept pulling wire by day, watched her fall in love with my pen name on air, and I just waited to see if she respected the man or only the poet after all. My name is Daniel. I am a union electrician. I have been doing industrial and commercial work for about 10 years now. It is honest work. Good money, solid benefits, a crew I trust. I am also a poet. I started writing in college. About 5 years ago, I got into spoken word, recording pieces on my phone and posting them online. I use a pen name, DB Rowan. Across platforms, I have a small but loyal audience, a few thousand people who actually listen and comment and send messages about what the poems mean to them. It has always been my side thing, something that makes me feel like more than just a guy in a hard hat. When my girlfriend Lauren and I started dating, she thought it was cool. She called it artistic and sensitive, said it was refreshing compared to the guys she usually dated. Her family is a different world. Real estate, corporate law, country club birthdays. Her dad has that corner office energy. Her mom does charity galas. Her sister married a lawyer. They are not evil, just very focused on status and how things look. Last Saturday was her dad's birthday dinner. Nice steakhouse downtown, white tablecloths, waiters in pressed shirts, a wine list thicker than a phone book. Her whole family was there plus some of her dad's golf friends. Everything was fine at first. Small talk about work and sports. Then one of her dad's friends looked at me and asked what I do. "I am an electrician," I said. "Union, commercial and industrial work." He nodded, seemed to respect that. Then he asked what I do for fun. Before I could answer, Lauren jumped in. She smiled, but her eyes were different. "Oh, Daniel writes poetry," she said. "He thinks he is going to make a living at it someday." The table went quiet for a second. Then her dad chuckled. "Well, we all need hobbies, right?" Her mom gave me that tilted head look people use when they feel sorry for you. Her sister's husband actually laughed. "Poetry? What is this, the 1800s?" Lauren kept going. "He stays up until 2 in the morning sometimes, writing and recording himself reading it into his phone, spoken word or whatever. I keep telling him it is sweet, but he needs to be realistic about what actually pays bills. But you know how artists are." The way she said artists made it sound like a problem to be managed, not part of who I am. Her dad raised his glass. "Just make sure the poetry does not interfere with the real work. Son cannot wire a house with metaphors." Everyone laughed. Here is the thing about being laughed at by people who say they love you. The joke keeps echoing long after the sound stops. I smiled. I nodded. I said something about how the electrical work keeps me busy anyway. Then I changed the subject to the Packers game and let them talk about golf and court cases. On the drive home, Lauren was extra affectionate. She kept telling me how proud she was that I handled that so well and how I was finally understanding that the poetry needs to stay a hobby. I did not argue. I just watched the road and let her talk. 2 weeks before that dinner, I had gotten an email. It was from a small independent publisher that works with an audio platform. They had been following my spoken word under the pen name for about a year. They wanted to buy exclusive rights to a collection I had been working on. They wanted to release it as a book and as an audio experience through their podcast network. They sent a contract. It was sitting in my inbox, waiting. The advance was $180,000. It is not retire early money. But it is more than I make in 2 years of running conduit and troubleshooting panels. They wanted to keep my pen name, DB Rowan. No one would know it was me unless I said so. My plan was simple. I was going to tell Lauren that weekend, show her the contract, maybe open a bottle of something and celebrate together. Then that dinner happened. That was the first real crack. Not because she did not believe in my career as a poet, but because she did not seem to respect the part of me that even wanted it. This is how resentment starts. Not with one big betrayal, but with small moments where someone laughs at what matters to you. I stared at the contract for days. My finger hovered over the accept button while her voice played in my head, saying I needed to be realistic. Finally, I signed it. I did it alone at my kitchen table. I clicked accept, read the confirmation, and sat there in silence. 3 days later, the first half of the advance hit my account. $90,000. I opened a new account at a different bank, transferred it all, and left it there. During the day, I kept going to job sites, crawling through ceilings, pulling wire, going home with drywall dust in my hair. At night, Lauren would ask how my day was. I told her about broken circuits and tight deadlines. I did not mention the other job. One Tuesday, we were eating dinner at her place. She was scrolling through social media and showed me a post from a guy she knew from college. He just made partner at his consulting firm, she said. This is what I mean about being serious. Carter is 32 and already set for life. He did not waste time on hobbies that do not pay. I told her I liked what I do. Good union job, solid benefits, steady work. I said I was not chasing a corner office. She sighed and smiled at the same time. I know, babe, I just want more for us, for our future. That word kept coming up, future. But it always sounded like a future she had planned, not one we were planning together. A few days later, I was in her kitchen grabbing a beer when I heard her talking to her mom on the phone. I do not know, Mom, she said. He is a good guy, but sometimes I wonder if he is ambitious enough. Nicole's husband is already talking about junior partner. Even Rachel's boyfriend bought her a ring. Daniel is still writing poems at midnight like he is in a coffee shop open mic. She laughed when she said it. Not mean, just like it was a silly habit I would eventually grow out of. I walked back in. She hung up and asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I said sure. My body was on the couch. My head was somewhere else. The publisher sent me the production schedule. They wanted to release in 8 weeks. They had a marketing plan, a podcast feature, maybe some radio. They were excited about the audio versions. Lauren was sitting right next to me when I read that email. She asked if everything was okay. I said, yeah, just work. Sometimes the biggest lies are just the things you decide not to say. The collection dropped on a Tuesday. The audio went up on the streaming platforms. The publisher got it featured on an NPR podcast that covers new poetry and spoken word. It is a niche show, but with a loyal audience. I left my phone in the truck that day. When I came down at lunch, I had 30 new texts and a full inbox. The episode had taken off. Not mainstream huge, but big in that world. People were sharing clips, quoting lines, arguing about the themes. One piece in particular was everywhere. It was a poem called Cabin Light. I had written it 2 years earlier, after a weekend trip Lauren and I took to Lake Michigan. We stayed in a cabin with no reception. No family dinners, no conversations about promotions, just us and a lake and cheap coffee. The poem was about that feeling, seeing someone when they are not performing for anyone. Now people were building book clubs around it. Someone even made a video essay about the imagery. Friday night, Lauren came over. She opened her laptop on my couch. You need to hear this, she said. Everyone at work is talking about it. She pulled up the podcast and played Cabin Light. I sat there listening to my own voice, reading words I wrote about her while she listened as if it was from a stranger. She started crying, not a dramatic breakdown, just quiet tears running down her face. When it ended, she replayed it. This is beautiful, she said. This is what poetry should be. Real emotion from someone who has actually lived, not that pretentious stuff you usually see. She looked at me. Do you know who wrote this? I kept my expression calm. No, I said. It is some pen name, D.B. Rowan. Well, whoever he is, he gets it, she said. He actually understands women. I wish you could write something like this. You can tell this is someone dedicated to their craft. She played 3 more pieces. She cried through 2 of them, pausing to tell me why each line hit her so hard. My phone buzzed with an email from the publisher. The audio had just hit 50,000 plays. They were already talking about a second pressing of the book. Lauren did not notice. She was reading comments. People were trying to figure out who D.B. Rowan was. Nobody knew. "You should listen to this again," she said. "Maybe you would learn something about how to make your writing actually connect with people." I just took another sip of my beer and nodded. This is one of the strangest kinds of disconnect, when someone loves your work but does not respect you enough to believe you could have made it. Sunday, we were back at her parents' house for dinner. Her mom brought up the podcast. Her book club had played the episode at their meeting. "The man who wrote this understands the human heart," she said, scrolling through her phone. "This is what happens when someone takes their gift seriously instead of treating it like a weekend hobby." Her dad nodded. "Read an article about him this morning." Finally, someone writing about real work and real relationships, not that academic nonsense. This D.B. Rowan fellow, he has probably worked a real job. You can tell he is not some trust fund kid playing artist. He has dirt under his nails. I was eating roast chicken while they praised the person they thought I was not. Lauren squeezed my hand. "Did you hear what my dad said?" she asked later in the car. "That is what I have been trying to tell you. Art is fine, but it should come from real experience and maturity. That D.B. Rowan guy probably has a career and a life and writes as a way to process it, not as an escape." I was driving. "Maybe," I said. "You could be like that," she continued, "if you would stop trying to make the poetry into something it is not supposed to be." That night she fell asleep at my place with the podcast playing. She drifted off listening to my voice. She had no idea. My publisher emailed about a local radio interview, a station Lauren listens to on her drive home. They wanted to introduce me by both names so people could connect the pen name to a real person. I said yes. Friday afternoon I went to the studio. The host, Lindsay, was warm and prepared. We went over the questions, did a sound check. "At the start, I will introduce you as both Daniel Brooks and your pen name D.B. Rowan," she said. "That okay?" I checked my phone before we went live. Lauren had texted an hour before. "Leaving work soon, cannot wait to see you tonight." Maybe we can listen to more D.B. Rowan. Still obsessed. At 4:15, the red light came on. "Today we are joined by a poet whose collection Blue Collar Nights has resonated with listeners all over," Lindsay said. "Please welcome Daniel Brooks, who writes under the pen name D.B. Rowan." We talked about the collection. She asked about the mix of manual labor and art. I read 3 poems live. We spoke for about 20 minutes. By the time I stepped out of the studio, my phone was buzzing nonstop. 17 missed calls from Lauren, dozens of texts. I called her back. "You are D.B. Rowan," she said. Her voice shook. I could not tell if it was anger or tears or both. "Yeah," I said, "I am." "Since when?" "Since always. I have been using that pen name for 5 years. There was a sound on the line, half laugh, half sob. "You have been sitting there while I played your poems, while my family praised you and made fun of you, and you just let it happen. You were testing me." "I was not testing you," I said. "I was trying to figure out how to tell you. I signed the contract 2 days after your dad's birthday dinner. The advance is $180,000. I wanted to share it with you, but after hearing how you talked about it, I needed to understand why you respected the poet but not the man." "That is not fair," she said. "You made me look like the villain. You set this up so I would look like the bad guy." "I did not set it up," I said. "I just did not correct your assumptions." There is a difference between lying and staying quiet to see if someone will ever see you on their own. "Do you know how this makes me look?" she asked. My coworkers listened. My family listened. They are all asking if I knew. I look like an idiot. My boyfriend is a famous poet and I did not know. "I tried to tell you," I said. "I was going to tell you that night at the steakhouse. You laughed and told everyone I needed to be realistic. And it was not just one comment. It was months of you comparing me to other men, sending me articles about men chasing silly dreams, telling me to be more serious." She went quiet. "I was trying to help you," she said finally. I was trying to make sure you were serious about our future. You were trying to shape me into something your family would approve of, I said. You wanted someone they could brag about. You respected the art when you did not know it was mine. But you did not respect the same work coming from me. I need to go, she said. I cannot do this right now. She hung up. Her mom called the next day. She started with an apology, said she felt awful about the birthday dinner and the jokes. Then she shifted. You have to understand Lauren, she said. She was just trying to protect herself. She wanted to make sure you were stable, that you were serious about building a life, not chasing some fantasy. I am serious, I said. I have a union job, I have benefits, I have savings and a retirement plan, and I also write poetry. Those things can exist at the same time. But you hid this from her, she said. I did not hide that I wrote, I told her. I just did not tell her about the money because I wanted someone in my life to be proud of the work before they knew the number attached to it. Lauren's sister called after that. She was blunter. You made my sister look stupid, she said. You are holding a grudge over one dinner. That is childish. It was not one dinner, I said. It was 3 years of watching her slowly lose respect for something that matters to me. One dinner is where it became obvious. She did not want to hear it. She hung up. My brother came over with pizza. You know this relationship is over, right? He said. I thought about Lauren crying over my poem, praising my pen name, telling me to be more like the person I already was. I thought about how she wanted the poet in the headphones but not the man in front of her. Yeah, I said, I think I know. I went to Lauren's apartment when she was not there. Her mom let me in. I grabbed my clothes, my books, my coffee maker. While I packed, her mom kept asking me to talk to Lauren to understand where she was coming from. I do understand, I said. That is the problem. I found a studio apartment 15 minutes away. It is small, but it has good morning light and a coffee shop downstairs. I signed the lease and move in on Saturday. The publisher called. The book sold 20,000 copies in 3 weeks. They want a second collection and some reading events. A few bigger magazines want to feature my work. Someone at work found out. By Monday, the whole crew knew. They joked with me about it in the way people do when they are proud of you and do not want to get too soft. Dan is a poet and we did not even know it, one of the guys said. You going to write us some safety haikus now? We laughed. Then my foreman pulled me aside at lunch. That is pretty cool, man, he said. I did not know you had that in you. Then we went back to marking conduit runs and checking prints. Lauren texted a long message later that week. She said she was sorry for making me feel unsupported. Said she loves me and wants to work through this. Talked about couples counseling. Said she is proud of what I have done. I read it twice. I started typing a reply, deleted it, started again, deleted that too, because here is what I cannot get past. She fell in love with my work when she thought it belonged to someone else. She respected the poet, but did not respect the man until the world told her he was successful. And I do not think therapy can teach someone to value you without a spotlight telling them they should. I have a reading event in 2 weeks at a bookstore in Milwaukee. The publisher asked if I want to bring someone. I told them I would probably bring my brother. The guys at work tease me about being both a poet and an electrician. I like that. It feels like they see all of me. That is something Lauren never understood. The writing does not make me less of an electrician. The electrical work does not make me less of a writer. Both parts have always been me. I am not sure yet what I will text her back, but I know the life I want looks like this. A small place I can afford on my own. A crew that has my back. A notebook on the nightstand. And people around me who respect all of it, not just the parts they can name drop at dinner. Here are some of the lessons I see in this story. Lesson 1. If someone laughs at what matters most to you, believe that reaction. Respect will not magically appear after success. Lesson 2. Support that only shows up after money or status arrives is not support. It is bandwagon approval. Lesson 3. You do not have to choose between a practical job and a creative passion. The right partner will respect both. Lesson 4. Hiding parts of yourself to avoid conflict feels safe at first, but over time it builds distance that is hard to cross. Lesson 5. It is okay to walk away from a relationship where your partner loves the idea of you more than the real you. Lesson 6. The people who tease you in a kind way while still taking your goals seriously are often safer than the people who praise you only in public. What about you? At what point would you have decided this relationship was no longer healthy? And do you think you could trust someone again after they only respected your dream once it became successful? Or would that always sit in the back of your mind?